Hello, it's Andy from PCR Global and Fit for Purpose. I'm just on the individual gold membership area and going through risk assessment. So these PowerPoints and these courses are inside the gold membership area. So you yourself, as a health and safety advisor, as a facilities manager, or as a consultant, or just for yourself, can do what I'm doing now, basically click through with your team. So I'm just going to make it bigger. And that could be up on the screen, it could be up on a projector, whatever it is. So risk assessment, I'm just calling this, it's basically a toolbox talk on risk assessment, but it is 10 slides. So risk assessment worth a closer look. So you would be delivering this to your teams. 3 good reasons: moral, legal and financial. I'm just clicking through quickly now. But you would go through that, talking about the moral obligation, talking about the legal obligation to undertake risk assessment. You could then be talking about the various types of regulation that require risk assessment, because it's not just the management regs. Financial reasons, not to forget that reputational risk, less trust, lost contracts, less money. Health and safety leadership is going to come into it. We want happy staff. We want safe, healthy, engaged, motivated staff. We don't want demotivated staff. We want that discretionary effort. Again, you will be delivering this slide to your teams. Click through again. There we go. Injury and illness statistics from the HSE. We know some people will question the accuracy of these statistics, but ultimately that's what we're given. The big thing to take from this for me is 138 people died in 2023 to 2024 in work. We're talking, and I'm talking about safety related incidents, but 12,000 people with ill health. For me, as a consultant, trainer and auditor, I tend to really focus. Let's not forget those health issues that's going to catch us up sort of down the line. I'm going to keep on clicking through. So I click through again. The management of health and safety work regulations. Is it law? The answer is yes. And then there's a link back there to legal and other requirements in ISO 45001. The next question, does it have to be written down? Well, yes, if we've got 5 or more employees. So again, you'll be briefing this to your teams. Continuing with that, the health and safety risk assessment, sort of the 5 steps that it used to be called in it with the HSE, but ultimately identifying the hazards: people, equipment, material, environment, observation, interview and document review, office-based techniques, workplace-based techniques. Who might be harmed? Employees, non-employees, contractors, vulnerable workers, and people with pre-existing physical conditions. I'm just pushing my way through so you can see the slides. How might they be harmed? Hazard groups, hazard categories, IOSH, NEBOSH groups, remembering there are no universally agreed categories. And then about evaluating controls and decide if more is needed. So the hierarchy of control, we've got eliminate, substitute, engineer, administrative controls and PPE. On there, that is safe place and then safe person. And that slide itself is broken down elsewhere into an individual slide to go through with your teams. Again, record if 5 or more. Really important. We speak to the manager, we get the ground truth, because we want to engage workers, discuss hazards, encourage feedback, build trust, and absolutely lead by example. Apply the director's health and safety policy commitments. Health and safety risk assessment methodology. Let's not forget, it is the law. We've got the companies, the legal responsibilities, and we've got the employers, that individual responsibilities. On this slide, we can go through sort of liabilities, risk of publicity orders. There's a number of things on the slide that we can look at. The big 3, consent, connivance and neglect. Really important part. Top management. Important, legal and other requirements. Important, all roads go back to that risk assessment under multiple regulations. Not forgetting, we got stress, hazardous substances, noise and vibration, many more categories. But what I'm doing here is linking that to health surveillance. Remember, health surveillance, medical surveillance. We've got to understand the regulations that falls under. And we need that competent health and safety advice. Who is the person giving that advice? Workplace stress, that's been coming up a lot lately. Demands, control, support, role, change. We've got to think about that relationships. That's the 6 management standards for stress. The HSE are pushing this quite a lot lately, and we know some people are pushing back as well and saying, well, hang on, where is this in law? For me, as a business owner, we've got, I think it's 9 or 10 full-time employees. I don't want to be stressed. The guys don't want to be stressed. Nobody wants to be stressed. So ultimately, that workplace stress, what's the demands from the workplace? If we've got people who are not stressed, we're definitely going to be more productive. That's just it. Strategic management of health and well-being. Again, a big subject. Do we clock out of life when we come to work? No, we don't. You're a better person than me if you can. I certainly can't. So my answer is no. We've got our life stuff and we've got our work stuff. But ultimately, if we've got an unhappy home life, struggling to cope X, Y, and Z, that can, and I know from personal experience, that can lead into work life. We've got to be mindful of that. Here where we talk about presenteeism, that brothers, keepers ethos. We need to be listening between the lines, picking up on things that if people are gone quiet, why are they gone quiet? So do we clock out of life when we come to work? No, we don't. This slide then moves on. I'm on 9, nearly there. The relationship with emergency preparedness and response. So in this slide, we're looking at those hazards, various hazard groups. Remember, there's many of them: substances, stress, vibration, equipment, work at height, fire, and more, of course, security. But all roads go back to that risk assessment, the relationship with emergency preparedness and response. The first aid needs assessment, really important. That's a legal requirement. There's a lot about the first aid needs assessment within the platform, within the LMS itself. But again, what is this slide for? I'm just delivering this briefing to my teams. I'm delivering this briefing to supervisors, to managers. And as a health and safety advisor, consultant, or manager, you'd be able to do that with these set of slides. Legal requirement, that's the output of the risk assessment. We want to be looking at pre-existing conditions, vulnerable workers, remote working. There's lots of guidance on there, not forgetting that emergency response plan, because that's where all of this goes left to right, and then that is a loop. This is an entire process, isn't it? And that's coming to the end of this set of slides. A couple of questions: true or false? The 3 reasons for conducting a health and safety risk assessment: moral, legal, and financial. That's true. And again, we can make those arguments. We can extend our briefing. An example of a moral reason is that no one should be injured or made ill from work. Absolutely. True or false? An example of a legal reason, and that's true again. And if, when you're inside, if you want more questions, let me know and I can just add them. So that is it. A quick look at the general risk assessment sort of toolbox talk briefing. And just a reminder, inside here, you've got all of that also with our other courses that's inside you that you can deliver. This is the asbestos awareness. We've got the CDM one in there as well, and I'm just continuing to add to that. So also now you could be clicking through this. What else are you going to get inside here? Moving down, we're then going into talk about regulations. So again, this is great if you are learning health and safety, the learning outcomes, going through those individual regulations, principles of prevention, moving through them. And let's have a quick look. I put the old L21 in there. This is a really good document. It's actually gone from the HSC. This ACOP is no longer in use. When you're learning about the management regs, I find this a really good document actually to get us ahead. Moving down, first aid needs assessment, like we said. There's a lot in there about first aid, again linked back to ISO as well. And you can just see there, I'm focused. Have a look at this. These are the areas where you want to look at. And this is an ever-growing area: pregnant workers, security risk management. So on and on and on. This is just getting made bigger all the time. We can jump into welding. So you can go and learn about welding. There's quite a lot in here about welding, actually, because that is important. And we are continuing to add to the hazards, and we are continuing to add to the ISO area. Context of the organisation, really important. So inside here, you can watch those videos then on context. That is this LMS. Not to forget, you get all the other bits that come with it as well. That's it. Thanks for watching. A quick look at and a run through of our health and safety risk assessment toolbox talk within the Gold members area. Thanks for watching. Remember, all roads lead back to that risk assessment. Stay safe, stay healthy, and when you can, stay productive. Thanks for watching.